Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, unless they said, right?
Was gorgeous. I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
So,
It's taken a minute, but I think I got the feel.
I have all of the trust. I'm so grateful when I bring ideas and you all make them better than I could have imagined. So I am so eager.
Yeah.
This is the part as the minister that feels like worship to me when I sort of throw something at them and I get to experience it, not really having had anything to do with making it happen. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I trust you. So let's just go through
Yes.
order of service. There'll be gathering music, musicians.
Which is going to be this.
Yes, that's the hope. That's the hope. Yep, yep.
Okay.
Gathering bell will be George.
Actually, let me ask you something,
Please.
because often I play 10 to 15 minutes while people are seated.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want 10 to 15 minutes of ripping on this, or do we?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay. All right.
I really want, because this isn't a song that many people know, so I really want it to be in the spirit, even if they don't know that it is, so that when we do come to a time where we're going to ask people to be singing it together, it's not like I don't know what I'm doing. It's already kind of just been living in their chest.
Okay. Okay. Right.
But if you feel like you want to, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I have a second thought too. So our folks usually show up late. You want this for like the last 20 minutes instead of like 15 minutes?
That feels like 15 would be a lot. It feels like, but I mean, I could.
Can you set the vibe similar to this?
Well, I can do a gospel like.
Perfect.
I'll do a gospel.
Excellent.
We want to get encouragement to sing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So like do like the last 8 minutes because our folks show up before they sing anyway.
Okay.
It's true.
Now, oh, by the way, what Howard has had me doing, but whatever you want, like he wants me, when he comes up, he sits over there, and he wants me to still play another 30 seconds.
Sure.
How do you want me? I don't need to do that.
I will look at you. You look up when you're ready, and
Okay.
then I'll take it.
Do you go to the seat over there, or do you go to the podium?
I go to. Do you mean at the beginning of service? I'm going to go to the seat.
The seat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep,
And I'll
yep,
wait for him to play.
Yeah. I mean, again, people show up late, so we
Okay.
can be fluid.
So then we're both going to go up and just sit down, and then I'm not going to ring the gathering bell until after Alan's finished.
Please.
Okay.
So that'll give you some time. We'll make eye contact and you can pop up. And then maybe everyone will be here. We'll see. Okay, so gathering bell, call to worship is George. Opening song, is that right?
How long do you want me to do? Because I've given the speech that I've been playing it, but how long do you want me to play that at that point?
Probably anything between like a minute and a half and 2 minutes is no problem.
That sounds right.
Because we're not asking them to sing.
Right. We're
okay.
just, again, this is all just sort of
I don't know if I'm
setting the
playing.
tone.
You want me to try to play the melody as he's going to sing it? That's a little tougher.
Okay.
No, I would say
Chorus,
like give
probably.
it's the chord structure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can do some of the melody at this point.
Yeah.
I'll try. I'll listen to some more.
Not my ministry, not my gift. I trust you all to
Okay.
take my idea and run with
At the
it.
end of the day, Alan, what's most important is that we come together during the actual anthem to do it together. So if yours is a little more improvisational, a little like still in the same field, but it's like a minute and a half is fine.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
And you said that the call to worship was me.
Yep.
And who's going to be doing the welcome?
That is also you. Is that okay? Who typically? I think Howard typically does it, doesn't he? I'm not prepared to welcome, so yeah, I'll just say welcome to you.
And I don't even ask them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, welcome to my church.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll do.
If you want the song, we can change it. Or how do you want this? Congregational election.
So let me just be clear.
Yeah.
Do you have something planned for the call to worship, or is that the welcome as it's been done?
I was just going to be doing the welcome, introducing myself and
Introducing
hi
me.
to
Yeah.
everybody on Zoom.
Okay, that's perfect because I forget that part. So then we can do opening song, and then before the chalice second, I'll do the welcome.
Okay. Yeah. So Alan, nothing changes for this.
And so for the chalice, lighting, you'll light the chalice, and this is what I'm going to say. May the flame of our chalice remind us we have all that we need. Curtis Burrell would speak the words, "I don't feel no ways tired," to himself as he waited for the bus to work in a prayer of manifestation. In 1978, he wrote the song we'll be hearing and singing together today, in which Mr. Burrell added, "I've come too far from where I've started. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. I just can't give up now. People have long gathered to remind ourselves of who we are and the bounty we can find in hope together. It is my hope that we will leave this space feeling no ways tired."
And then I do the pledge again.
Correct. Oh, wait.
No. This is after the piano song.
Okay.
Oh.
That was just the opening.
That's just that's the chalice lighting.
Oh, okay, that's not a cue. That's not a cue to do the song.
It isn't. You will have already
All right.
Yeah.
done the opening song.
I
I
see.
have it in
And then George is going to lead the
Okay.
response.
Okay. Right. And then
So
we
as
can
they're doing that, you come up with the word.
and then do the hammer.
Or you just
I have the welcome after the chalice lighting. I do. So it'll be opening song, chalice lighting. It'll be just like it is in the program. Then I'll do the welcome, then it will be the responsive reading, which George will lead.
Where it says closing song right here,
I
you
don't
there's
know
all-
what that is.
That's not. I thought that's.
That's-
in Miss Spring.
Okay, perfect.
I thought so.
It's also going to be not the way I've done it. Okay, so George, after the responsive reading, if you want to introduce hymn number 6, you may, and that'll get me time to get to where I need to be for the sermon. Oh, I missed a page. So then it will be sermonating. And then I'm just going to take the pastoral prayer from the, what's it, not the podium, I haven't had enough coffee. The thing where okay, so I'll just stand up there to give the pastoral prayer, and then I'll invite Ivana to come up to give the annual pledge, and then I think I'll have her introduce, since she'll be there, the affirmation of faith, unless you want to step in and take it from her, because that will line you up for announcements.
I would suggest George.
Okay, let it be
Because
George.
once we get the Spanish, I work out of sense.
Perfect. What's that called?
Lectern?
Hold it. I went to school for this stuff, guys.
No,
Don't.
yeah, I had a brief for it.
Nobody, everyone was like, she should do this.
And here I thought it was the watchtower.
The watchtower.
I do feel like I'm up in the watchtower, absolutely. Okay,
So just,
you want to run through it one more time?
no,
Okay.
there was, somebody had said that, someone was gonna be talking about the pledge. Is that going to just
That's,
be Ivana?
Ivana's going to be talking about the pledge campaign. Part of your announcements can be to bring a member of the auction committee up to say their bits, unless that ended up in the program. It's underneath, so after Ivana,
And the affirmation.
affirmation of faith, then announcements. It's all the A's.
I just have to make
George, are you doing invitation to coffee hour, or is that somebody else?
No, I'm alone.
Okay. That would be a time, I think.
So we're doing some Irish. Music team is hosting St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. So, pastoral prayer. I guess I can call
Are you
Ivana
wanting to help sing the?
for that and then we'll go back into the special music.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then we'll do George's reflection. And then we'll go into the offering.
Do you know that one or nothing?
Do you want to
know
put
that.
I just
them?
realized if it kills the mood.
So let's put
My God, let's make a
announcements
star.
in between the worship and the offering.
Six.
Yeah, somewhere there. I just feel like you kill the mood.
I think you're probably right.
Most of them usually 6 or 7 are.
Okay, well then let's do, Georgia, let's do your reflection. And then you can make the offering. We'll do George's reflection right after the pastoral prayer. I like that flow. I think that's the original flow. I don't know why I got
I don't know why you're so.
pumped either.
Actually, I think it's after. It's supposed to be sung.
Yes.
So maybe
Which is.
She
So
is.
we'll do.
It was like, and I was just talking.
Yeah, so let's do pastoral prayer, George's reflection. Well, you decide. Do you want to do the song before or after George's reflection? Let's do it before. It gives it a time. It gives it some music between talking.
So as it is.
Kind of. So then George will already be up there after his reflection. So George will go pastoral prayer, special music, worship
Wait.
associate reflection.
Special music after the pastoral prayer.
Correct.
Oh, that's when we're doing the song.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're changing it.
Wait, Alan, no. Pastoral prayer after the affirmation.
Well, then, so we want to. I didn't want to. So I think
Okay, we're moving this chunk.
I think we move the chunk.
Okay, which is the affirmation.
Yeah. So maybe we do this. Pastoral prayer, special music, worship reflection, affirmation of faith.
Pledge campaign testimony.
Yeah, we can do.
Sermon into
It's going to be sermon into pastoral prayer, special music,
Write it. Okay.
associate reflection, affirmation of faith. Then we can do. You decide. Do you want to do annual pledge? Let's do announcements. Then George can invite Ivana up to do annual pledge, and then offering.
Offering, stone ceremony,
Yep.
silence, post-mood,
Benediction.
post-ceremony or benedictions. So that's
Well, right. Where it says reprise, that's essentially
That's
post.
when I'm like taking over.
Yeah, that's postlude.
No, it's post-mood before benediction. Reprise, I get, technically yes. Basically, like you're singing, yeah, what you're doing on Oral Sundays, right? So
Okay.
before the benediction, you're gonna get people singing, right? You're gonna be energized, and then
Oh, I
benediction
see.
is
There
gonna
it is.
happen.
Okay, so
Because
there.
Shuba now has all this energy in the room to send people out,
And then
you
just
take
a bit of reprise. I
Let me
see.
give him
Okay.
the run for goodness
All
sake.
right. All right.
Is that good? Alright, George, this is new. Everything's fine. Special music follows.
will be heaven sent. Spirit will move. It is just church. Don't make it complicated.
Testing, okay. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. My name is George Hariser, and I'm the worship associate for today's service. I want to say good morning to those longtime members and friends. A warm welcome to new people who are here for the first time, or for those who have just been visiting for a short period of time. We welcome you, no matter who you are, no matter who you love, or how you practice your faith. I hope that you will find this place as a comfortable, accepting space. Let us now welcome those joining us on Zoom. Those on Zoom, if you open to the gallery view, you can say hello to those other Zoomers. And here in the church, if people just turn and wave to the camera in the back there, we can welcome them too.
May the flame, oh, pardon me, go ahead. We changed the order of things a little bit this morning, so it'll be me being confused and you just follow the confusion. It's going to be a great service. Thanks, Alan, for always ensuring that my mistake is covered up by beautiful music. As George lights our chalice, I offer these words. May the flame of our chalice remind us that we have all that we need. Curtis Burrell would speak the words, "I don't feel no ways tired," to himself as he waited for the bus. And he offered it as a prayer of manifestation, because who isn't waiting for a bus and is actually tired on their way to work? But in 1978, he wrote the song that we'll be hearing and singing together today, in which Mr. Burrell added, "I've come too far from where I've started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. I just can't give up now." People have long gathered to remind ourselves of who we are and the bounty we can find in hope together. It is my hope that we will leave this place today feeling no ways tired. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster, my home church. I am so happy to be with you today. We are in an open and affirming church where everyone is welcome, and the only language that we speak is love.
The responsorial responsive reading is on your yellow pages in your program. I will be doing the darker printed, and then you will respond with the lighter print. Lifting Our Voices, Always There Is a Beginning by Edward Searle. Always there is a beginning.
A new day, a new month, a new season, a new year.
Forever the old passes away.
And newness emerges from the richness that was.
Nothing is ever lost.
In the many changes time brings.
What was, in some ways, will be.
Though changed in form.
Always there is a beginning.
A new day, a new month, a new season, a new year.
Go ahead.
Now, friends, you may rise and body your spirit as you are able. Hymn number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. Alan will play through it once, and we'll join him next.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I lead my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to Good morning, beloveds. I am the Reverend Elizabeth Haralam Shuba, and I am your affiliated community minister. You may remember that I answer my call to ministry as a clinical chaplain at the Ann B. Barshinger Cancer Institute. Being raised here in Unitarian Universalism, I've been well prepared for interfaith ministry, which is a good thing, as I'm often asked to serve folks where they find meaning, including rituals. In the 8 years it's taken me to become a board-certified chaplain, I've encountered the ways in which my upbringing left me with some implicit bias about Christians and Christianity. And this bias was informed by the fact that many who come to our tradition do so because they've been harmed by another faith community. It wasn't until I went to a United Church of Christ seminary that I became aware of this bias in myself. And I chose that particular seminary for proximity, for cost, and because I knew as a clinical chaplain, I had much to learn about Christianity. You see, in conservative Lancaster County, my experience of Christians was monolithic. I was often a recipient of weaponized Christian apologetics, which left me feeling misunderstood and othered and, frankly, condescended to. Who likes that? My experience had taught me that Christians assumed that they had the only historically rich tradition, and my bias was a barrier to linking our own UU Christian beginnings to those Christians that I met. I didn't have the wisdom to speak to those interconnections because I had big feelings. And in seminary, I realized that there is as much beauty and color in the historic Christian movement as there is in our own. I was even able to engage more deeply with the Greek orthodoxy of my father's ancestors. If you look, you will find connection, but it can be fraught. I realized the trigger that language held for me and learned over much time and effort to reorient my interpretive lens so that the words connected with things that I could feel. I sought to feel connected to the love that is at the center of all faith, which was a good thing because as the only chaplain at Barshinger, I'm asked to offer ashes on Ash Wednesday, a daunting task as a lifelong UU. And if I'm honest, I didn't do a great job my first year, which is how I knew I had more work to do. In my discomfort, instead of looking within, I was judgmental. I thought it was performative to see folks walking around with black smudges on their foreheads. Look at me, I'm good. I did the thing that makes me a good Christian. To be clear, this was my junk, and in no way reflected the hearts and minds of those who came to receive ashes from me those days. With each year, I worked a little bit harder to connect to the story behind the sacrament. And this year, 4 years into it, something just clicked, and I realized I was projecting my discomfort and worry that in offering ashes, I was being performative. In the letting go of my attachments to the story I had been telling myself, I was able to write a prayer that felt meaningful to myself, and I'm hopeful to the recipient. And this got me thinking about all the ways in which many faith communities find this season sacred. For Christians, the Lenten season is a time of fast, repenting, and reflection on the ways to become more connected with faith. The imposing of the ashes is a reminder of mortality, that we come from dust. And one day, hopefully not too soon for any of us, we will return to dust. Recalling to us the truth that everything is temporary. Everything is cyclical. In this reminder, an invitation to feel, to let go of our attachments, and to grow closer to our own hope. For Muslims, this is the holy month of Ramadan, where Islamic teachers remind followers to fast and reflect on the ways to connect more deeply to Allah. From sunup to sundown, no food, no liquid will pass their lips. At sundown, families gather to celebrate the gift of community with the breaking of their fast. In the deprivation, they are reminded of those less fortunate than themselves. And this is intended to renew their efforts to care for those people in the world around them and to grow closer to their faith. For Jewish people, this is the season of Purim. While Purim is a season of celebration, not deprivation, it is still a time of reflection and honoring those Jews who have come before. Purim celebrates the escape from the Persian Empire's attempt at ethnic cleansing, which was interrupted by Queen Esther. She bravely disclosed that she was Jewish, a fact that she had kept secret from the country and her king. This disclosure foiled Haman's plan to cleanse the entire empire of Jewish people. She was brave, and in her realization that everything is temporary, she could risk her life to live in a truth with integrity, and as a result saved the Jewish people from that particular genocide. For the beloved pagans among us, you know well that this is also the season of Ostara, or the celebration of the spring equinox. Ostara comes from the Anglo-Saxon goddess Oster, who represents the spring and the season for new beginnings. The tale of Oster is that she transformed a bird into a hare, and the hare responded by laying the gift of colored eggs. I hope you hear all of the connecting threads in these traditions. We sit at the beginning of the Earth's cycle, filled with such potential. And on the warmer days, like today, even though it's cloudy, I bet you have even felt the shift in the air. As I made the cross on the foreheads of those seeking the sacramental ashes, I was reminded of the importance of being brave. For Christians, the life and death of Jesus remind us to stand firm in faith, to reflect the love of God, and to be a steward of generosity. As I was making the connections across traditions to find interrelatedness to Ash Wednesday, this became the entry point. While I may not wear an ashen cross on my forehead, I do wear an inclusive pride flag on my work badge, and I even have I've elected to wear the pronoun placard there as well. When I could see these things in the same light, I was able to let go of judgment and find connection. In my curiosity, I also found that the black cross of Ash Wednesdays is thought to be taken from the hot cross buns used to celebrate Ostara. The wonderful thing about knowing history is that we can see the ways that our web connect through time. In the early days of Jesus' ministry, it wasn't called Christianity, it was called the Jesus movement. Many practitioners continued their pagan practices and rituals even when they needed to do so secretly to avoid persecution, as Constantine made Christianity the faith of the empire. The more I seek, the more I find we're all pluralistic practitioners of our faith in some way, and it's why we often joke that everyone's a little you. Or better said, even though many of you youths have a complicated relationship with our Christian roots, we have more in common than we do in dispute. It's so important to understand origin stories. In this season, Jews, Muslims, pagans, and Christians are all recalling who we have been and embracing the challenges of who we are called to be and the potential of who we can become. Jesuit priest Henri Nouwen has a book of reflections called The Inner Voice, A Journey Through Anguish to Freedom. But before I talk about that, a little bit of a sidebar. I just returned from LA, which is why things are a little shaky this morning and things are a little disorganized. Jet lag is real. But I was at a national nursing conference on ethics where Father Greg Boyle was one of the keynote speakers. And Father Boyle is a Jesuit priest who established a ministry in the effort to heal the poorest parish in California of its gang violence in 1988. He's a phenomenal storyteller, and if you haven't, I urge you to find his talks on the interwebs or read one of his books. Anyway, he told the story of one of the homies, is how he refers to the people he works with, referring to him as a jiu-jitsu priest. And I now imagine Henri Nouwen offering his wise reflections while making movements. Apologies to any jiu-jitsu practitioners out there for emulating moves I have clearly not studied. Anyway, back to Henri. I have a patient with whom I've been meeting monthly since his diagnosis with a non-curative lung cancer. And we met in the hospital, and at the second encounter post-discharge, he brought a copy of Nouwen's book. There are many ways in which this patient, we'll call him ML, connects with Nouwen and his work, not least of which in his grounding in the Roman Catholic faith. And like Nouwen, he navigated the complexity of being Catholic and gay. At this encounter, I happened to have my chaplain resident there as well, and ML graciously allowed the resident to join our discussion. And as we moved forward, one of us would choose a reflection ahead of the next appointment, and we would have a sort of salon-type exploration of what one had chosen. And not unlike the beginning of many bad jokes, a Catholic, a Buddhist, and a you walk into a bar, or my office, as the case may be. Through these reflections, we are affirmed time and again, how close our worldview is. All three of us believing in something greater than ourselves. We all work to stay in balance between our need for connection and our lifelong search for meaning-making. And in our last encounter, ML was particularly taken with Nouwen's insistence that we release all our attachments. And this quote I'm about to read was one that resonated with all three of us. Hopefully it will hit you somewhere in your feels too. The more you trust in the love of those God has sent you, the more you will be able to lose your life and so to gain it. Success, notoriety, affection, future plans, and entertainment, satisfying work, health, intellectual stimulation, emotional support, yes, even spiritual progress. None of these can be clung to as if they are essential for survival. Only as you let go of them can you discover the true freedom your heart most desires. These are my words now. We must let go of our white-knuckle grip, not only on what serves us, but also what we believe to be true about ourselves. This can be as simple as letting go of believing we are a good person. ML used the example of his nosy neighbor. He realizes that she is lonely and seeking connection with the world around her, but his life is full and his energy is finite. With metastatic lung cancer, he's pretty busy taking care of himself and would rather use his free time to connect with those closest to him. ML has often spoken about the envy he has for his partner's faith, a less complicated faith. His faith is trusting and crystal clear. So in response to seeing her loneliness, when ML came home from errands one afternoon, AP had shared that they were going to be taking the nosy neighbor to lunch. We giggled, and ML rolled his eyes and said, "That one's for you, Jesus." ML knew it was the right thing to do, to make a sacrifice in the name of his faith to someone who didn't have as many gifts as he did. He could have stayed home, confident in his goodness as someone who attends Mass at least once a week, but he realized knowing isn't enough. This story prompted my resident to share one of their own stories. They'd been celebrating a 90-day streak of an hour-long sitting practice when they hit a day when they had overscheduled themselves and didn't realize they hadn't practiced at all, but not until the next morning. Typically quick to self-criticism, they were awash with self-compassion as they realized the good things that they had accomplished that day by way of sacrifice. They needed the reminder that connection to the world around them is just as vital as connection to self and divine. And I close the loop by our ever-loving mantra that for our tradition, for UUs, we believe that love is the spirit and service is the gift, that same sort of tension. All of us are called to hold our desire and our responsibility with open hands. I've been thinking about Nowen a lot since being with ML. If everything is temporary, if part of being present and good is letting go of our attachments, if love is the spirit of our tradition, how can we be more brave in this love? I hope you'll take time to consider this question. Where I've landed is we must remain curious. We must stay on the path of self-discovery and meaning-making. I choose to be brave in this love by showing up as fully as I am able in every space that I enter, from a position of eagerness to learn and to connect. Even when I'm at first uncomfortable. As I meet folks in this ministry, I know that no one feels safe in the world as it is right now. To differing degrees, we all have a sense of feeling unmoored. But in releasing my attachment to knowing the future, I'm free to connect with those around me. And I do this because to stop seeking is to stop living. I do it all because everything is temporary. And no amount of certainty or planning can change that fact. The arrangement of the hymn we've been listening to, or at least the way I came to first know it, was by a singing sibling pop group. They also play their own instruments, called Infinity Song. Just another thing, if you don't know them, check them out. And another one of the songs that I love is called The Sunshine, and I'll leave these lyrics with you. So if you're looking for some peace of mind, I'll have you know you're not alone. The only way is taking one step at a time, because life goes easier when you understand you've got to give it time. And time goes easier when you finally start enjoying the ride. And the ride goes easier when you're letting down the window for the sunshine to come in. And the sunshine feels better when you believe you'll be fine. May it be so. This is a prayer I offered on Ash Wednesday. I've flipped it around a little bit, but the sentiment and much of the language is still the same. Most gracious and loving mystery, in this season of chaos and brokenness, open our hearts to the needs of others. May we reflect your love and compassion in our actions, serving those who are suffering or in need, even when we don't agree with how they see the world. May we remain watchful, stand firm in our path, be courageous, be strong. Let all that we do be done in love. Remember that we are dust, and to dust we will return. I typically offer the glitter communion during Pride, but there's never too much glitter in the world. So near the end of the service, when we're offering joys and sorrows, I'd like to invite you, if you feel so led, to present your forehead or your hand, if you prefer, for just a little bit of glitter.
Nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. I just can't give up now. Far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. You have the words to the third verse. Feel free to sing along. Here goes. I don't feel no way sad. I've come too far from where I started from. Ooh, nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this, and I don't believe he brought me this, and I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. That's it. We're just gonna repeat that, friends. Here we go. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Here we go. Keep singing on, friends. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Add a little harmony, I don't care. Hey. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. I know you want to stand up. I know you want to get up. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Don't stop singing. I want to hear you all. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Oh, I don't know. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Let's sing it a few more times. Keep going. Hey, hey. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Everybody, I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Let's give it three more. You got it. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Two more. Give me everything you got.
When Elizabeth had given me the theme for the sermon today, I found myself really troubled. I've been caught up in deleting numerous emails and texts each day from various groups and everything since post-election. I think I'm still mourning the loss of hope with all of the changes that have occurred since that time. The sermon today helped me to refocus on our principles of UU. I've been thinking about how I can put my faith into action with love being at the center of what I do. It reminded me of just how judgmental I've been over the last couple of months as I've been deleting all of these emails and everything. Reflecting on how I can be courageous, I thought of my family, who are not only Catholic, but also Christian. And when I speak of Christian, I don't say or talk about evangelical Christians or whatever. What I'm talking about is doing the work of Christ, the WWJD, what would Jesus do? With spring being a time of renewal, I'm reminded of how can I refocus and renew my faith to do good. I understand the importance of relationship, of connection with other people, and especially here. I also realize the importance of having time for myself and all that that entails, which I have not been doing a lot since then. The sermon reminded me of the importance of more courageously acting on my UU faith as I see it. Okay, so we are now going to the affirmation of faith, which you can find in the front of your hymnals. We will first do it in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ofrenda. Este es nuestro gran pacto, el convivir unidos en paz, el buscar la verdad en amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. Now we're going to the announcements. So if you would like to, you can certainly join us after the service this morning down in Everson Hall for coffee and conversation. We will be having a small group that will be
Testing. Sorry. Marion Smith will be doing a presentation on the solar panels, and following that will be St. Patty's Day music by the music team. So stay for the whole thing. And while I'm talking, next week, I may sneak in, but it's my day off, but Abigail's Garden will be here They are very good. Irish Celtic music. They're doing the service, all the music for the service. So you don't want to miss it. Thanks, George.
And we are to have someone from our auction committee to, okay, Kiki. Yeah, come on up here.
Good morning. Just wanted to give a plug about our auction that's coming up. It's a circus is the theme. It is on Saturday, March 29th, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, right downstairs in Founders Hall. Please come. Hopefully you've been seeing the announcements weekly. I will be downstairs. If you need help with buying tickets, I will have a list of auction items. We are still looking for donations of auction items. We are continuing with our best pet contest, so you can enter a pet or vote on your friends' pets. And there's also an opportunity for advertising. For $30, if you are a business owner or know someone, we'll have a running little blurb with among the auction items for people to view. So please plan to join us on the 29th, and I'll be downstairs if you have questions, need help with getting tickets, or want a list of auction ideas. Thanks.
Eli had mentioned about the solar project presentation downstairs. Also, is Anita Coriel here? Okay, well, it says that you can sign up to help with the Feed My Children project. Anita's supposed to be downstairs in Emerson Hall this morning also, and at the same time, you may also purchase one of our new t-shirts while you're there. Okay, so where are we in our program here? And so we have Ivana Morris, who will be giving her
Good morning. I first came to this church with my husband Len Lidowitz in 1999 when our son Evan was 1 year old and Lindsay was in preschool. Len and I had a secular wedding, and so we didn't really attend church too much in our early years being married. So it was a little bit uncomfortable experience for us. But we sat in that very back row, and the sermon really spoke to us. The very first time we came here. But also the flow of the service, the lighting of the candles, which preceded the sand garden. In those days, long before COVID, we had held hands at the end of the benediction, and we had a little squeeze, and all of that was very touching, and the principles of UUism was really what struck a chord with us both, and so did the warmth of all the people in the pews. So right from the beginning, we always felt that we belonged here. As a young person and a new parent, I really enjoyed coffee hour and felt supported from the start. At one of our first coffee hours, we learned about dinner go round, and which was probably the reason we still are here through all the highs and lows, because one of our first years at dinner go round, I remember we were assigned to go to somebody who is like a really older person. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a boring evening. But it turned out that the UUs, the older people are kind of cool here. So both through the dinner go round and through coffee hour, we were surprised at how cool everybody kind of thought like us. So we knew we belonged here. In our first 10 years, we got really involved in all kinds of committees. I taught Sunday school. I chaired the social events committee, and let's see, we had organized all kinds of fun road rallies and bus trips to New York City, and then Len's committee involvement included property committee and capital campaign committees. And eventually he became president of the board and during our big renovation in 1999 and 2000. Together through the years, we participated in just about every aspect of church life here, except for maybe the music committee. Now that I'm one of those older people, and I've seen a lot here, I can tell you what it's like to be an old UU. We've made mistakes. We've experienced 2 building renovations, and the coming and going of lots of ministers, births and deaths of a lot of congregants, including the death of our first minister that we knew and loved, Kit Howell. We made some of our dearest friends here at the UUCL, with whom we've laughed and cried together. Us old people don't see ourselves as old people. I'm learning now. But we're reminded of aches and pains and stamina level and things like that. But otherwise, being at UUCL, I feel brings out the best in all of us. And through it all, I've always felt that I belong here, and that's why I offer a generous pledge every year. The easiest way to make a pledge is to do it this morning at church. A member of the UU pledge team will be down at coffee hour and circulating around to answer any questions you might have. Please give generously. You belong here. Thank you.
Old and conscientious.
Okay. Bring your own myself.
At this time, we will have the offering. The ushers will be coming up to pass around the baskets. We ask you to generously give of your treasures at this point. The plate will be shared with the Interfaith Partners for the Chesapeake. It's forming faithful stewards, caring for sacred waters, and equipping people of faith to honor, protect, and restore our shared watershed.
Moment. May we reflect on what has been true for us in the world this week. After a moment of silence, Alan will begin playing again and offering his gifts of music, and you may begin walking toward me and the chancel, and then make your way over to George, who will be there with the stones. Again, if you're interested in a little bit of glitter, I can hit you up. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, tech team. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for playing my little reindeer games. I am seeing so much shimmering, and I don't even have my glasses on. Best day ever. Home to bed with cats right after this. As Ivana shared, in the olden days, we used to stand for the benediction, and we would hold hands. Only if you feel safe and comfortable. I'm going to ask you to do that. It won't hurt my hands. It won't hurt my heart if you don't feel like that's the right move for you. And I know that we're connecting in spirit, but the physical connection is such a huge part of the work that I do. And if you're willing to give a squeeze, give a squeeze. I'll do my best. This probably isn't the first time you've heard me talk about radical love. The choice to meet whatever we face with the humility that comes with being curious about the lives of those that we encounter. At the conference, the theme was trust and vulnerability. We cannot build trust without being vulnerable. Isn't that what we all crave? To look into the eyes of another and to believe that we are celebrated just for being human, that we are celebrated in our humanity. The way we move in the world says just as much about us as the words that we say, the way that we vote, or how we spend our money. Please pledge. Walk with your head held high. Meet people in the eye. Send the message that we are delighted you are here. Someone has to start the healing, my friends. It may as well be you. It may as well be me. It may as well be us. I'm not saying that we're charged with fixing the brokenness. This battle for power has always existed. But what if we seek to be an oasis? Set down our need to be right. Release our attachment to being seen as good. Let's just try to show up, to be humble, to stop thinking of the world as us versus them. To co-opt Father Greg Boyle, when we strive to see ourselves in the other, we all become us. Be brave in this love because fear is so much more painful. Blessed be, Ashe, Shalom, Amen, and Amen.
Friends, join me in singing that third verse just like we did before. I heard you. You could do it. I don't feel no waste tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Oh, nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this, and I don't believe he brought me this, and I don't believe he brought me this. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. You know it, friends. Hey, I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Keep that hope alive, my friends. And I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Sing with all the love in your hearts, friends. And I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Add a little harmony, full permission. And I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. God, add the clapping. You gotta clap, guys. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Think about what you're taking with you this week as you leave. I don't believe I brought you this far. Think about all the love this week, friends. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, George. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. We'll do a few more. Don't quit out yet. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Give me two more good ones. Two more. Ready? I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Friends, it's been a pleasure. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Happy Sunday, friends. See you in coffee hour. Take us out of here.